Hi, amazing. I'm live. So it is Thursday, it's 9 p.m. And as I said last week, I'm doing a new series of lives with women whose work I love and admire and whose vibe I'm just like, yes. And we have set some conversation points because there's so much to discuss. There's so much to share. I feel like at the moment it is a bit doom and gloom in terms of like price hikes and war, and it does feel a bit heavy. So I think these conversations are going to be super important, just to ground ourselves and to, just stay centered and stay present, and to make sure that we are in alignment with what our highest good is. And I know sometimes it can feel a bit futile, like this work that I'm doing, but there's a whole entire war. But circle of influence. What is in your circle of influence? Hey Kelly, how you doing? What is in your circle of influence? Because if it's outside of your circle of influence, and I know it's quite harsh to say, don't worry about it, stop stressing about it, why are you stressing? But honestly, when something is inside of your circle of influence, you can make it your business, you can make it your mission, you can make it part of your agenda, you can do something about it. And sometimes that might be quite challenging, but if you can do something to help someone, do it by all means. But if it's outside of your circle of influence, then you don't need to stress about it. So that's how I'm moving forward, just recalibrating and making sure that I've got all my ducks in a row and I'm helping where I can, using my influence, using the autonomy that I do have to help the situation. And that's it. So, okay, so as I was saying in the intro, today I'm speaking with my good sis, Helen, who is the founder of Happy Chalice, and she is going to come up on the stage and we are going to discuss the healing journey. And that's why I went off on a tangent about, your power, your autonomy, and what you can do to recenter yourself in this crazy world. So today, healing and self-knowledge. Why me? Why now? That is the provocation. Why is it important to consider? What is this? Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm so
I'm
good.
good.
It's lovely to see you.
You too, glowing as always.
Oh,
Glowing as
thank
always.
you. I'm enjoying your fresh flowers.
Yes, you know me, my gang. Always
Pretty.
got the gang.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Okay, so I was just introing our session and what we're going to talk about. And at first I was thinking about, just the kind of state of the world, and it kind of can sometimes make the work seem futile, but it's never futile, because I feel like grounding yourself in self-knowledge and that strong core of who you are means that you can find solace and safety within yourself. So I really think this conversation is relevant, is powerful, is going to be so necessary. So I'm really excited to go into it. But before we do, Helen, can you reintroduce yourself for people that may have not met you before, and aren't familiar with your work?
Cool. Okay, so yeah, my name's Helen Marie. I am living at the moment in Mexico, but I'm originally from London. And yeah, I left the UK before at the end of 2019. So before in the old world, I left the UK, and then the new world when that I stayed out of the UK. So yeah, I am a consciousness guide. So I walk with women through journeys that take them into deeper levels of their consciousness and can support them with everything essentially, because your consciousness affects everything, as we'll discuss today, but particularly well-being, vision for what's possible for your life, um, freedom, like being able to actualize what works for you, I think is so important, particularly with the opportunities we have now. And yeah, purpose, also being connected to something bigger than yourself. So I'm big on people expanding beyond their ego, their human, and actually connecting at a soul level of existence, because I think that's what will essentially enable us to influence the world. And, you know, as you were saying, we're in challenging times, and I think it's even more important now for people to be in touch with their well-being. Um, A, to be able to deal with it and process it, but B, this is the only way the world is going to evolve. Like, the world technically is still probably less violent than it's ever been in history. I think we can still say that, but we now have the visibility of everything. And I think it means that we need to take on the responsibility as individuals to be like, this is not the world that I want my children to grow up in. So how am I actually no longer feeding that system and that way of being? So I think this conversation is really potent given the situation that the world is in today.
Mm. I even love the perspective you gave me just now. The world is the least violent it's ever been. And I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what they say. I mean, I wasn't there. Well, not me, but like that's what they say, you know, like it was worse before. So we just have visibility. And
Yeah.
visibility
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's
certainly
hard to
that doesn't make
process,
it,
but it's a
it
good
still
thing.
means suffering, the amount of suffering is still too much. So we can
Yeah,
do what we can to alleviate what we can do as we
exactly.
all raise our consciousness. So thank you for that intro. So we have got a listicle. This is a word that Helen taught me recently, because I recently have come back from Mexico, where I went on Helen's package, her incredible retreat called Re-Embody Me, and I had an amazing time. It's so special.
Yeah.
And we thought we would come together and combine our knowledge, because we definitely are aligned in like what our philosophy and how we view how we want to move through the world, and you know, our callings. There's alignment there. So what we've come up with for today is a list of 7 reasons why healing and self-knowledge, why they're so important,
Mm-hmm.
why me, why now. So to kick us off, Helen, I'm going to hand over to you. Hi, Barbara. Hi, girl.
Hey, girl. So, yeah, first one is self-awareness. And yeah, this for me is a really important part of the healing journey is realizing firstly that no one is broken. No one is broken. Everyone just has things that is carrying things that they don't need to carry. But you have everything that you need to do what you want to do. And I think it is taking the time to come out of everything that is triggering you or inviting and calling your attention, taking the time to come into yourself, to know yourself, to see yourself, and to take responsibility for the things that you have influence over. Taking responsibility for how you respond to the world, because the world is never going to be perfect. There's shadow and light. That's how it works. But how do you actually respond if something's triggering you? How do you take accountability for how you respond so that you can use that thing that is triggering you to activate at a deeper level, to grow, to evolve, and therefore come into some newness and feel that sacred medicine of that thing that's triggering you. So yeah, with the awareness, I think it really is an opportunity to see where your patterns of behavior can support the outcome that you want and where they're potentially detracting from the outcome that you want, because that is, and I know we'll come on to empowerment, but that is essentially the only way that you're going to be able to see change in the way that you want to see it, is if you take responsibility for it and for unpicking the things that are just not needed from you and having the accountability to do that too.
Yeah, I hear you. I think for me on my journey, and I feel like I will want to kind of ground it in personal experiences where possible, but this whole idea of not having the awareness of what cycles are being repeated in your life, I know that, you know, I was searching for love in all the wrong places. It sounds so cliche. It is cliche, but until I realized that I recognized the deficit that I was trying to fulfill unconsciously, even on the outside world, and where I was trying to get this love and validation, and why that sort of void was there. I was just seeking it and seeking it and seeking it, and that was really weakening me. And the moment I could see, aha, okay, so that because of that, because of that, because of that, and that's why I'm continually going like this. This is why I'm so available to this, this, and this. And the moment I was able to claim it is when the cycle kind of changed. I could call something else in, but before I wasn't aware, and if someone had called me out on it, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm not this. I'm not trying to get this like that. No. But you know, with a bit of deep reflection, I could see the cycle at work, and I could see where that hole was developed and how I was covertly trying to fill it. So powerful,
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
Yeah. And you know, we always hold this, we know. We know it's us, but we have this kind of way of like hiding it from ourselves until someone actually calls you out on it and says, actually, could the reason this is bothering you today also be the reason that such and such was bothering you last year and such was bothering you last year? And you start to see the thread and be able to make sense of it. And as soon as you can see the thread, it allows, when those opportunities for where you would slip into the other bits of behavior, that when they come up, you're able to choose a different response, right? And then that's how the cycle breaks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so point number 2, as to why me, why now? Why is this important? Why should you be curious about this journey? And I came up with your self-worth equals your net worth. And what I mean by that is how your self-esteem and the value you place on yourself, which is built up when you do this work, when you start weeding out all of the stuff, that the limiting, the beliefs, the insecurities, and you know, they don't necessarily dissipate and go away, but you come into relationship with them and they can actually end up being a great source of power for you. When you start building yourself up and accepting yourself fully, flaws and all, from a really deep place, you'll notice that you can attract more money. You become more of a valuable person because you're more coherent, you're more authentic, you can offer more value because you're not spending so much energy trying to people please or, you know, second guess about what that person is thinking about you. And you just end up being more in alignment with who you are, and therefore you're able to command more wealth, more you are more able to say, listen, F you, pay me. Like, I know I'm worth this. I know I've actually genuinely been through the journey, and what I have to offer now is truly valuable. So your how much you earn in pounds and pence is directly correlated to how you feel about yourself and how much you feel your worth. And I'm so glad that you're going to speak on this, Helen, because you've been through a recent transformation in this area, which I would love to hear.
So many so many. This is so important. Like, it is literally a flick of a switch, and you can put your prices up. You can also, you can just channel your energy in the right way. Like, for me, being able to see and actually see what I can offer people, but then also no longer see myself as being on the back foot. And I feel like this is, and I'm dealing with shadows all the time, but I feel like this is a shadow I've carried since I was a child. In my house, I grew up as the youngest, and I was the only girl, so I had 2 older brothers. Boys tend to be more like, I get what I want. Women are more like, oh, how can we make it comfortable for everyone? And I think this thread I've carried through, certainly into my business, where I've just come in on the back foot most of the time. If I'm honest with myself, I've come in like, I'm sorry that I have this business, but can you invest in it, please? As opposed to now, I'm like, I've got some amazing services that will change your life. Like, absolutely, they will change your life. They have changed my life. and they will change your life. And just being comfortable enough to say that, comfortable to hold other people to account as well, because I realize when you call people into, when you know your worth, it entrains other people to know their worth as well. I'm doing my clients a disservice if I devalue my services. So if I value them, I get my clients to value them too. They put in more work, they get more out of it. So it's a win-win situation. There's no need to be living from this paradigm of like scarcity and there isn't money and don't want to interrupt anyone's life, and just actually realizing we can actually influence each other when you've done the work to explore your self-healing, to practice, to be held accountable. There's so much that you can offer another human being, and when you know that and value that, it's just a situation, which is the way I certainly want to be.
Sorry, I keep
Are we good?
disappearing. All good. Continue.
That's okay. So yeah, when I left corporate and went into business, I was like, I want the paradigm in my business to be, it is win-win. It's win for me because I'm growing my business, but it's win for you because you're getting exponential value from the work that you do with me. So it's just, yeah, just being able to see yourself. It just lightens your spirit and it translates to so many different areas of your life. So yeah, I'm big on the self-worth and that work. It's hugely, hugely powerful.
Here. Sorry, I just had to readjust and plug back in so
Okay.
everything's okay. And I think I'm stable now. So sorry about that before.
Right.
Yeah, I love everything you said. It's just so clearly linked, and I can say that my experience has been very similar in terms of it's been a gradual process, but I'm just an energetic match to different experiences, and yeah, I'm much more likely to acquiesce to what other people, well, how if someone can't see my worth, that certainly doesn't change what I know it is and what I can provide. So just that is hugely powerful, and it sets the standard that it improves my work. So really exciting. I'm not sure why my phone keeps cutting off like this, but I'm gonna have to keep touching the screen because it just wants to go to sleep sometimes. But okay, so point 3, Helen, I'm gonna hand over to you.
Yeah, self-knowledge and self-empowerment. So yeah, we touched on this on the first one as well. With this one, I think what's really powerful in this work is being able to integrate your physical body, your emotions, your mental body, your spiritual body. I talk about intuition expansion, which is essentially expanding your energy field, so the stuff that you can't see, expanding your field so that you can receive more within your body, more information to process and respond to. It means you can engage with people in a different way. It means you can manage your nervous system. So when you can see when your body is when the heart rate's starting to go up and you're starting to go into fight or flight, you have the tools to say, body, we're okay. If I tell you how many times I have to tell my body, I love you. I love you. I know you're stressed, but I love you. You haven't lost love. You're okay. Like just being able to have those conversations with yourself so that you can still work when in times, had you not done the healing work, you'd potentially break down, fall into procrastination, give up, have an outburst. It's just being able to access more from your body and work with it, which is empowering in so many ways. And that, yeah, it translates to how you show up for yourself and how you show up for other people too. That's one of my favorite, because I work with energy, and that is probably my favorite bit of this work, is being able to integrate more from the body, because we've been taught to do so much from the mind, and there's just so much that our body can teach us, but just by the state of the nervous system. And there's so much more to experience as well. You can experience bliss on a different level. You can experience nature on a different level. You can experience intimacy on a different level because you're just in touch with your body and your energy system. And the magic there is.
I love that so much. Yeah, the implication of that is, I always say to my clients that you end up feeling more deeply and seeing more clearly and having better sex and because I feel like you deepen your knowledge of self, and that goes physically as well as mentally as well as emotionally, and it gives you more dexterity. The other, as in, like, you can do more, you can be more specific, what's happening inside of you. And I really love that tool that you were talking about, like self-coaching, your way out of a situation that you may be in. Sometimes we can't control our physiology, but then tools give you the power to actually, I wouldn't say control, I would say relate to and work with.
Exactly.
And self-soothing is really powerful, because sometimes without having the work, without having the self-knowledge, you can really be knocked for six and the recovery can be a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And people are triggered by all different kinds of things, and our nervous system can really have us have us acting out and doing a whole madness, just trying to get back to trying to keep us safe. Bless this nervous system. I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep me safe. You're trying to either tell me to run for my life or like freeze and hope you don't die. But but you can kind of be in relationship to it, and that comes from, if you're a anxious person, you'll build that self-knowledge, that understanding, that compassion. You actually be able to figure out the inception point of where that has come from, and what this is bringing up for you, and therefore how you can say, okay, this is the reality of the situation, and we understand why we're reacting like this, but this is how much is true, and this is how much is what I'm imbuing the situation with. And it's just, yeah, as you say, you've got all the language. It's just really empowering to have that self-knowledge.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because I freak out when I'm gonna run out of time for something. That is my big thing. It's like when time is running out, when I'm like, oh my God, I've got an hour to do this, my body starts freaking out. Before the hour is done, my body is already freaking out. And literally just being able to say, body, you're good, don't worry. We'll be fine. We'll do what we can in this hour, and that's that. You'll continue, but it's like you have to tell the body to come out of this, oh my God, alarm bell's going off. We're going to run out of time. We're going to die. It's like, it's not that.
This is making me think of me coming back from Mexico when my cab was supposed to give me 2 hours, and I came an hour late to take me to the airport. And I'm all right, but I was like, I'm gonna miss this plane, and I need to get back to my child. I had stuff to do, and I threw away my tourist card thing. And even being a practitioner of the work, airports sometimes give me, like, I get airport anxiety. And Helen was like, just be fine. I was like, ah! don't calm down. But yeah, within it all, I was able to stay centered. I mean, I was not particularly hopeful, but I didn't completely lose my head. I mean, even though there was like very little hope, on top of the little hope, another spanner was thrown into the works when they told me I needed to go and buy a new visa card. And I was like, so this is the point where I could have full-blown meltdown, and I'm not going to do that, but it's highly likely I might miss this plane. So but I didn't miss the plane.
Right.
I didn't miss
but even if you did, like, I've even got to the point where I'm like, even if I missed the thing, because I remember I had this once with a bus I was trying to catch from another Mexican town back home, and I was like, I literally had to coach my body as I was in this taxi. I was like, why are you freaking out? If you miss this bus, what does that mean? Why does this seem to be like death to you? Because at the worst case scenario, like, I'm going to have to buy another ticket. Or, and yes, we'll lose some money, but it's like, it's really not worth, like, all of this stress and worry is not getting you anywhere faster. And it's just making your experience of the present moment horrible. So, yeah, it's that I think that's why I was able to be so calm with you on that day, because it's like I've been through it where I'm like, don't worry, you're still a goddess. Even if you miss this, you're still a goddess. I still think you're fantastic. So
Yeah,
is
yeah, absolutely. And I think you got to find it within yourself as well. That's why you need to go through the journey, because I think it's one thing being able to coach yourself through, but and I know, actually support does help, but it's much more powerful when you can have that conversation, when you've got enough critical distance to have that conversation with yourself. And I can hear Kelly, can see Kelly Kells here has written, it's hard to stay centered with a 3-year-old. Girl, don't I know it? And I've been through the journey of being a bit snappy and then not feeling very good about myself afterwards. And I find breath work really has supported me through that, because they can jump on your last nerve. But it's still they're just learning their boundaries, they're expressing themselves, they're figuring it out, and you are their sounding board, and so it is challenging, but I have found the tools through my healing journey, i.e. breath work, i.e. prepping myself before the next segment. So if I'm about to do the nursery run, maybe I'll take 5 minutes to have a little meditation and center before I go pick him up, so that instead of picking him up and being like, I gotta get home, go do dinner, go make bed, go wash dishes, it's like I can be a bit more present with him, because of that meditation just gives you that kind of mental space. So it's really powerful. I do love that reminder and thought process of what is the worst case scenario. Yes, Helen, yeah, no, it's true. And I've begun to realize not to have too many expectation of what the day is meant to look like with a little boy. Yeah.
and I think as a mother, I mean, I'm not a mother, but I'm a daughter. And I think it's so important for children, because my mum did not meditate. I can tell you that now. And it affects, they absorb your nervous system. So however you're responding, if you're responding in stress and chaos, you're going to pass this on to the child. The child's going to think, when we're running out of time, it's stress and chaos, as opposed to you have an opportunity with a young being to be like, it's not that. You can stay calm, you can make a rational decision, and you're going to lose some things and you're going to win some things, and that's life. And what that does for their nervous system is huge, because I always see it as like children are, whatever they receive and absorb, it will blow up exponentially in their lives, because they're still so small. So like a little bit of anger in a child it's like alcohol. If you give a child a drop of alcohol, they're going to be drunk. If you give an adult a drop of alcohol, it's not going to have so much of an effect on them. So just being mindful of the energy that we're feeding the children, because this will exponentially impact their life. So I think, that being able to manage your energy, and it goes with adults as well, but particularly with children, is so beneficial to them. I think to have parents who are grounded and who can process emotions rather than allow themselves to be overcome by them.
Yeah. And you will create a little monster that if you don't manage your emotions, well, and I know that there would be times where we just stuff happens.
You're human.
We're all human. But they don't do what you say, they do what you do. And I'm seeing my little one is just repeating stuff back to me, stuff that I've taught him. Like I realize, I'm so conditional. Like if you don't do this, then you don't do that, thinking this is really good parenting. If you don't put on your shoes right now, I'm going to turn off that television. If you don't eat your vegetables, you're not going to get any dessert. Which I was like, this is great, because then all of a sudden he does it. But then he turns around and said to me, I'm not putting on my shoes if you don't. And everything is conditional. Everything. And I'm like,
Wow.
I've created a monster.
You're programming.
What have I done? Like, how can you condition me like that? If you don't let me watch TV, then I'm not going to go to bed. if you don't let me, I'm just like, oh my God. So now the tables are turned. So you have to be really mindful about what you're doing. I can see Kelly like, yes, yes, I know. Yes, it's very, very mad. Okay, so next, this is really funny. The next point is the reason why this healing journey can be so fruitful, so powerful, so necessary is because you can only get to know other people to the extent to which you know yourself. And what I mean by that is, if you have very little self-knowledge and you're not very aware, so you're kind of quite surface level and you're not really, you don't really know what's going on in terms of like, you don't want to go there, right? There's some stuff that haven't quite been processed yet, some stuff that kind of makes you kind of sad, so we don't want to look at that. And there's some stuff that some types of people that really irk you, so we just avoid them. And then you come across someone and I mean, you can't offer yourself up. You can't have a deep and meaningful connection with someone if you only know yourself to a surface level. And people can sense that about you as well. Deep people connect with deep people. So I would say the ability to connect with, to be intimate, even on a friend level, on a romantic level, even at work, just thinking about like the depths of the relationships you have, the respect you're able to command, that grows, and the depth of the relationships that you're able to cultivate and maintain really is dependent on the depth to which you have come into connection with yourself. And you do that through this healing journey. And I find that to be such a powerful part of this work, because my relationships they just look so different. I can track them in terms of like the past decade, and sometimes nothing humbles you like a 10 years ago Facebook post, and you see and you're like, oh God, what kind of head did I have on my shoulders? But
Right.
I just didn't have the level of self-knowledge and depth of understanding about who I was, and you know what I was putting out. But now my relationship to self is so different and so much deeper, that I've got some really powerful relationships because as a result of having done the work and gone through the trenches of the healing journey and come out the other side, like knowing more of myself.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, there's so much to that. I really love that. I can echo that completely. Like the way you can talk to people, and it's almost like the dimensions that you can talk about, the layers of what could be happening here. Even in terms of understanding people, when if you only take what's happening at face value with yourself and you don't look deeper, you'll only ever take what's happening at face value with someone else. So if someone else on the street lashes out, you may not have the empathy to understand why and explore that. And so the more you do this work, the richer your relationships become, the richer you can relate to any human being, because you understand the depths of layers of your own personality as well. And yeah, it's so fruitful in so many ways. And this is like, for me, I've personally seen my relationship with my mum has improved, just from me having done work, and now I can understand her more. And I'm like, she's just a human being. I've been trying to put her on a pedestal when she's just a human being. And that's when you get into like the healing of the lineage, because where you sit in your lineage and what you're able to clear out, you're then able to do it, and it has ripple effects through your bloodline. So yeah, it's really, really powerful stuff. Just being aware of self and what's happening.
Yeah, I love that. I love that healing of the relationship with your mum because of the journey you've been on, and just making her more human, and
Right.
of being able to understand people, even strangers. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah. which is great, because then sometimes you don't take things so personally, because you're able to see that actually your reaction or behavior is a reflection of you. It's got nothing to do with me. Whereas maybe
Absolutely.
before you took, I know from my perspective, I took a lot to heart. I took a lot personally. And people are so self-absorbed, it usually isn't about you. But without that level of self-knowledge, without that depth of understanding about how human psychology works, you can sort of say, oh, that happened because I did this, or I said that, or I am that, without realizing it's never about you. It's always
Right.
about
Everyone's thinking about themselves as
every
much as you're thinking about yourself. They're thinking about themselves.
exactly that.
Is
Exactly that. Amazing. Okay, so Helen, hit us with number 5.
number 5, trusting the process, trusting life. I think this is huge because there's so much chaos and so much shadow, and so much of the journey is, if you come into the healing journey thinking is going to be all roses and you're just sitting in meditation like this and it's just bliss, there's a bit of that, but there's a hell of a lot of crying and a hell of a lot of shit that has to come up and come out, and that is life. That's how we grow. That's kind of where I've netted out on this thing, is that there's always going to be shadow in the world for there to be light. There's always going to be some friction, because that is what helps us to grow. If everything was just peace and bliss all the time, the world wouldn't evolve. If there wasn't dark, and if there wasn't something that spun the world, it wouldn't spin. Like, you need some kind of force, some kind of friction for things to happen. And when you do the work, you're able to sit with the shadows and the discomfort even more, and be okay. Things that would have bothered you and stopped you in your tracks, you're able to actually find the medicine in them, and use that to step up, to evolve, to grow, as opposed to just staying the same person. So, yeah, just being able to see the links also between the threads of things that you've carried in your life and how they can be medicine to you as well, I think is a huge benefit of doing this work, because it just means you can go further in life than if you're trying to only look for the easy route all the time. If you're trying to look for the easy route all the time, you're going to just get derailed, because as we've seen in the past year, it's just disaster after disaster. But when you're able to work with shadow feelings, you can actually find healing even in pain, which I think is a huge, it just enriches your life in so many levels, and you know what's important to you, and you just do more. You just do more.
I love that, accepting the polarity of life, because without the darkness, we wouldn't be able to see the light. We need both.
Right.
We wouldn't appreciate joy if we had never experienced pain. And it's interesting, I think, having done the work, I know just before I came out to Mexico, I had a big money issue. I had an incident where I lost a lot of money. I won't go into how, but I think maybe if that had happened 5 years ago, it would have broken me. I still wouldn't be over it now. I would still be, it would still be heavy on my heart, and I'd be living in a like, why did I, but I'm just, in fact, I appreciate the lesson within what has happened, and I've used it to propel me forward. And I've actually, and even I'm thinking about death as well. I'm lucky I haven't actually experienced death of someone, well, maybe my grandparents, someone that was really close to me. But trying to find the lesson in that. Yes, feel your emotions. Yes, it's okay to be sad, angry, grief-stricken, but there's always a lesson in there somewhere, and sometimes it might be hard to find, but pain's a great teacher. And what happened before Mexico really helped me to see that. I can see Kelly Kells has written, I struggle with empathy and boundaries though. Kelly Kells, book a call, get a free consultation call, literally, let's have a chat, because genuinely, boundaries, yeah, you need to do the work so that you can set and follow through with them. But you know, there's a whole world that can open up to you. So get in touch, reach out. It would be lovely to have a chat. Yeah, trust the process. You good with trust the process, House?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to point number 6. Number 6 of why me, why now? Why embark on this healing journey when it's so a road filled with, you know, blocks and hills and bumps and joy and, you know, darkness and light. One of the big ones for me is breaking through my fixed mindset. And it's all in there's just your subconscious, but also your unconscious. So it's just stuff that is genuine your truth in that moment. But then having your beliefs genuinely shift. I didn't realize the importance of this, and what I've come to understand is the reason why that is so monumentally important is that you rarely surpass what you believe is possible for you.
Absolutely.
You hardly ever manifest beyond what you genuinely believe. And even if you say, I want to manifest a house on the moon, or I want to, you know, if you don't believe it, it ain't gonna happen. Like yeah, it's not, it just, the belief is such a key component. And it's such, you know what, I remember listening to someone do a video and he said, I'm going to tell you the secret to manifesting money, and I'm going to tell you the secret to happiness and good relationship. And I was like, yeah, what is it? What's the secret? And he was like, belief. And I was like, you flipping, what if you made me wait all this time? And the build up was long and annoying. And I just wanted to jump through the screen and throttle him, because I was just like, all of this time, all of that build up to tell me belief. And here I am now, however many years later, being like, yeah, it's belief.
It's belief. It's belief, it's examples, it's, you just give yourself something else to work towards. One thing I try to think of now is like working in the mindset of, and one of my coaches has me doing this, is quantum leaps. So like, actually, what's the thing that seems too big that you just won't take on? And actually making that, okay, just picking up like, okay, if that was the only thing I could do, how would I do it? And it's just having someone to hold you accountable to that is really, really powerful as well. But yeah, just being able to see beyond, because once you clear a limiting belief, like we all have limiting beliefs, by definition, they are limits. And once you clear them, you're just able to work towards something different. I certainly felt it on my journey when I started traveling, and suddenly I was in networks with so many entrepreneurs and people who ran their own businesses. And it's like that thing that when I was in London working corporate, seemed everyone I knew was other people who were my colleagues, or, you know, who I'd met in that industry. So it was other people who were just working and had a good job, and that was the ladder. But once you jump out to a different realm, almost same realm, but it feels like a different realm, and you're like, actually, the possibilities up here are endless. I just needed to see examples and believe in them. So, yeah, just the difference of when you clear something that is, and I use that as an analogy, when you move beyond something that is your block, there's things that you don't even know that you want, that you won't know until you've cleared that block. Because, for example, I may say now, and I think it might be you I had this conversation with or someone else, but like, there are shops, if you walk in a shopping mall, a shopping center, if you walk in a shopping center, there are shops that you will not go into because you're like, I don't have the money. So I don't even see those shops. Like
Yeah.
I walk into H&M, I walk in here. I don't even see that shop. That's not somewhere where I could consider going in. And then as
Mm.
soon as something cracks and you're able to say, actually, if I did have a bit more money, I would want that. I would allow myself to want that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's so life just is enriched so much once you can challenge those what you think are your limits. I think especially as women, as Black women as well, like we haven't seen as many, or some of us haven't seen as many examples of huge possibilities. So our possibilities for ourselves can be smaller. And then
Mm.
we just allow the same cycles to repeat. But you always need to have people that will just jump and be
Mm.
like,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
big things,
Yeah.
bigger than
Yeah.
that.
Oh, so much in that. I love the model a be do have. So this is something that I'm only just now embodying and seeing how it works in terms of manifestation and belief. And but be instead of we tend to think about, okay, when once I have the £100,000, then I will start acting like, oh, I got £100,000. I'm walking into £100,000 shops, and then I will, I have be do, and then I'll start doing the things that people that earn that amount of money do. Whereas actually, what you need to be doing is getting in the realm, to use your language.
Yeah.
It's be it first. So at the moment I'm on the market for a car. I want to buy a car. I want to buy an electric car. I know how I'm going to do it, but the point is, from what I understand, I'm going to start doing what you do when you're about to buy a car. The car that I actually want, is an electric vehicle. And I'm going to start shopping for it, even because I need to. Because if I'm like, oh, but I can't right now, then that will be my reality. I'm making the
Yeah.
steps towards it, and I can tell you that without even realizing it, I started writing down job descriptions of people that I wanted to bring into my organization, and I'm now in the position where I can actually hire them. And I've had those job descriptions written down for well over 6 months. I was working on them early last year with no kind of way of being able to make that happen. And
Right.
now I'm like, oh, I'm going to be able to. Fair enough, it's going to be part time, but I'm now in a position
Yeah,
to do it. So it's really interesting how you manipulate energy and how you
absolutely.
feed your subconscious with the information that this is what we're doing and this is this is what we need. So really, it sounds very woo woo, but I've I have no explanation. But it really does help you step into that way of
Yeah,
being, that level of thinking, by not waiting for it to be here, the money to be on the table. But
yeah,
and that doesn't mean go out and buy a Gucci bag right now, and even if you can't afford it, sis,
yeah,
take time. But I definitely think being it, embodying it, taking the steps towards, like, okay, so I'm gonna buy this car, or I'm gonna hire this person. What are the things you can do around it without
hmm,
necessarily making the purchase, but like being in that energetic space where, yeah, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get
yeah,
this, and it's very, very powerful, because your whole being will have to match that, if that's what you're doing, if that's what you're making yourself be a part of.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it just gives you you make better decisions, you don't, you stop every time you have a choice to make, you're less likely to make the choice that is gonna take you off that path.
Mm,
Whereas if you didn't believe something was a possibility, you might be more likely to consider that option that wouldn't be on that path, that that person who would buy that car wouldn't do. So yeah, the vision is very, very powerful.
yeah.
Just rewiring yourself and like changing direction, even if you're not there yet, just getting from here to here is a step to being there. So yeah, I completely echo that. It's powerful, powerful stuff.
Amazing. So, point number 7: why me, why now?
Purpose.
Eh.
Purpose. For me, like doing healing work has made me realize how important healing work is, like how it has a ripple effect. And we talk about like changing the world sounds big and huge and impossible and woo woo and lofty, but if every individual was to clear out their stuff, like I saw a post the other day that if like Putin had ayahuasca, like the world would be in a different place. Like it's just is people being the ripple effect of not doing the healing work is so big. It's so big and it affects everything. It affects people like if you just pass people in the street, your energy is affecting their energy. If you pass people with a smile, they're more likely to feel happy about their day. It's that, but on a bigger scale. And I think healing work is important not just for the individual things that we can get, like the money and the success, but it is the collective experience on the planet. Even if that is just your household, that affects your neighbor's household. If it is just then your street, it affects the whole neighborhood. And it's just that ripple effect really is very real, is very, very real. So it's seeing that when you do this healing work, you're not doing it for yourself. And I genuinely believe it is possible to change the world. Maybe not today, but in through generations, I definitely believe it is. Because, in 100 years, all of the people on this planet are going to be different people to the people that are here now. And you can, if we pass down healing, self-knowledge, being able to trust the process, being able to work with shadows, if you do all of that work, it does have a ripple effect on what happens next and what is happening now. So, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
my spiel.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think if everyone became more aligned with what they're here for, if everyone stripped away some of the layers of, okay, I'm doing this because this is what I should be doing, or this is what my parents say, or this is what my religion says, or this is sorry about that,
Okay.
or this is what my gender should be doing. I don't know why. The moment I look away, it's just like no, it wants to go to sleep. But yeah, so with all of that stripped away, you can actually connect with your purpose, your dharma. What am I here for? What is my driving force? What are my talents for? What am I here to do? Is it connected to animals? Is it connected to healing work? Is it connected to the arts? Is it connected to fighting? And you don't know. You've got to do stuff to find out. You've got to do stuff. You've got to figure out what it is for you. And that's the journey of life. But so many of us get stuck in, okay, that's the set path. You go to school, you go to college, you go to uni, you get a good job, you pay some taxes, you get married, you have some kids, and then you die. And I mean, for some people that is their purpose, and more power to them. But if you're living that life and there's something that feels there's got to be more, or this should be easier, surely, then you need to do some work, because you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It should feel easier, and it should feel like you should be motivated to wake up in the morning. And if you don't feel like that, then get into alignment. And absolutely that will make the world a better place. 100%, because we all, whether we like it or not, do have a purpose. And that I think it's connected to this capitalist scarcity mindset where, well, if we all had a purpose, then we'd all want to be rock stars. Actually, no, not everyone wants to be a rock star. A lot of people do. A lot of people think they do. But I think people might assume that if everyone was living their purpose, then it would be a crowded world and people would be getting in each other's way, and it wouldn't work because there needs to be this specific hierarchy. That's all conditioning. So,
Yeah, for sure.
let's try that, because obviously this way, it's got, look at the amount of depression and anxiety that we have. So something's not working doing it this way.
Not working.
We can
Not
afford to
working.
try something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, purpose. I mean, even because I was that woman that you were just talking
Oh,
about.
really?
I was that woman that was like, I got to that point where I was like, I don't see where, like, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. Like, what, you get the good job, you work your way up, and then you're like, okay, so this is just more of I'm chasing for promotions and things like that, and not feeling like I was really living what was true to me. I was living what was true to my bosses, which was what was true to society and that kind of capitalistic cog in the machine of like, I work, I spend money, I work, I spend money, as opposed to actually giving something to the world. Um, yeah, but you do have to face all of those limits that have told you that the only option you have is to be in the machine. You actually have to jump out of that, and that is scary. And that's where the healing work comes in, because you can sit in the discomfort of, okay, now I've got to create my income. How do I keep that energy up? How do I keep showing up even when everyone around me is potentially not affirming that? How do I keep going? The healing work will just keep you on that journey. If you don't do that healing work, you'll give up and go back to the world that you didn't want to live in the world that you chose to come out of. So that for me has been really, really powerful,
Mm,
for sure.
mm. Brave move to step out of the matrix and yeah, live on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. What a great note to wrap it up on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What a great
Yummy,
note
yummy.
to wrap it up on. Purpose. It feels really big, but it's just, all it is just figuring out what it is for you.
Yeah, and just realizing you deserve a happy life and not waiting until you're on your deathbed to be like, I should have. That was
Yeah.
always my worst nightmare, that I would get to 70 and be like, I wish
Mm.
I wish I lived in Mexico for a bit. That would have been fun. Like, it's things like that, yeah, I just would never, that's my worst nightmare, to get to the end and be like, I wish I did that.
Mm.
Um, so you have to jump through you jump the hurdles to get out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. They say that if you want inspiration, go to like an old people's home, or people on their deathbed. Oh, Kelly Curls, can you just repeat all points so I can write them down, please? Of course, of course, of course. I'll do that. I'll recap now to summarize. But yeah, just to finish that thought, that if you want inspiration, you go to like a morgue, or not a morgue, but like people on the near the end, and they'll talk to you about their regrets, and they all just
Yeah.
want to say, yeah, no, not at all, Kelly Carls. It is, we've been moving quite fast, but I'll recap. And thank you for being here. I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. It's yeah, it's just so refreshing. But yes, so regrets ain't it. Like, give it a try, give it a try. Satisfy your curiosity. So the 7 points were, one, self-awareness to break cycles, as in like when you just keep doing things over and over and over and over and over again, just realizing, do you know what, I've been doing that thing and this is why. I can choose a different thing instead of unconsciously doing the same thing. And then there was self-worth equals your net worth, which is just speaking to how, the more you start building that self-esteem, that self-trust, that self-belief, it translates into pounds and pence, how much you can command, how much you will accept. Self-knowledge and empowerment. Helen was talking about, mind, body, spirit connection. And, nervous system. You said some brilliant stuff about nervous system and
Just being
self-soothing and
able
self-coaching.
to use your body, use everything that you have, all of the tools in your arsenal, really. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Point 4 was deeper relationships. really, really powerful. You're able to have deeper relationships the deeper you know yourself. Number 6 was breaking through fixed mindsets. You know, certain ways of thinking and feeling are very fixed, and you just break through your limitations, your beliefs. And number 7, which we just ended on, was purpose, connecting to your purpose, because we've been conditioned to believe that your purpose is just to pay taxes, and you're so much more than that. So much more than that.
You missed number 5. Trust the process.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, trust the process, working with shadow and light on the journey too.
Yes. So even the bad stuff, there's lessons in it, and the bad stuff leads to the good stuff.
Thank you, Kelly.
Oh, thank you so much. What a lovely discussion. It is 10 p.m. right on time. How perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay, my love.
Yes. Until next time.
So, yeah. Until next time. But powerful as always to check in.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.